Hi, I'm Dr. Dani Parsell, a clinical psychologist and proud alumni of the class of 2008. I'm going to speak a little bit today about some tips about talking to things that kids have seen or heard on the news or seen or heard adults talking about that might be scary to them. First, ask them what they already know. Kids are really good at magical thinking or using their imaginations to fill in the gaps about what they've heard. If you ask them what they already know, you can fill in the gaps or correct any misinformation that they have filled in themselves. You'll also know where they are in terms of what they know and at what level you can speak with them about whatever event you're talking about. Ask kids what questions they have. Let their questions guide you. This can be a little intimidating right now because we don't have a lot of answers for everything, especially when we're talking about COVID-19, and race questions can be really difficult to answer as well. Answer their questions. So answer their questions truthfully and directly, ideally with only the information that they've asked for. So if you tell them a little to answer their question and they want more, they'll tell you that they want more. If you tell them too much, they might become flooded or overwhelmed and it will be difficult for them to talk about tough stuff in the future. It's okay not to know all the answers. None of us do right now. We're all doing our best. It's okay to say, and I recommend this phrase, good question. Always good question, because that invites future conversation. I have to think about the best way to answer that, or I have to do some research. I have to talk to your other parent about how we want to talk about this in our family or what our family believes. Let's talk about this more and then give a time. Tomorrow, in the morning, and then stick to that. Monitor exposure to the news. For younger kids, this might be watching the news or listening to the news when they're not around, when they're asleep, and honestly, you could probably use a break from it as well. Inherently, news reporting has ingrained values, especially in cable reported news, that you might agree with or might not agree with. So be sure to think about that when you're exposing kids to news as well. For older kids, be aware what they're exposed to in terms of news or incorrect reporting on social media, online, on other messaging platforms, and what's on your TV. Share your emotions and reactions. If you're honest and vulnerable about how you feel, kids are more likely to be open and honest with you. However, it's really important to let them know that it's not their job to take care of you. Let them know how you're going to support or take care of yourself when you express your emotions or a tough time you're having. So for example, with a younger child, I might say something like, I'm a grown-up and when I get sad or scared, like I do when I learn about some of these things, I take a break or I talk to Aunt so-and-so, I go for a walk outside. Let kids know that we will work to keep them safe. For example, everyone in our family is healthy right now. We are going to keep washing our hands when we come inside and before meals. Grown-ups will wear masks when we have to go inside a store somewhere, or whatever it is that you believe is safest for your family in the way that you're practicing. Be a role model. Kids will react to and follow your reactions. So be aware of how you respond when you hear news, the language you use about scary events. If you're a parent, you already know that your kids pick up on it when you don't tell them something directly. So process your intense reactions away from your kids, ideally with another adult who can support you. Take care of yourself. Take a break from social media. Take a break from the news. Use your support system, even if right now it's by text or Zoom or whatever you're using. Go for a walk. Take a break in another room if you can't physically use the space with your kids. If it's a baby, it's safe to put a baby in the crib to cry if you need a break. It doesn't always feel great, but we'll be better able to take care of our kids when we feel better and more taking care of ourselves. And find a therapist if you need to. Online therapy, teletherapy is more prevalent and easier to access right now than ever. So use a site like Find a Psychologist, look at your state association, find a psychologist page, and use those resources. Pay attention to the helpers. If a kid has been exposed to something scary, a great way to process that with them is to encourage them to name the helpers that they've seen. Having a sense of control can really reduce anxiety. So if you find the helpers, for example, with COVID-19, perhaps healthcare workers, for race-related violence, perhaps protest leaders, or a wonderful teacher or leader that you've known in the past, and find something you can do. That's the control piece. If kids have something that they can do with you, it helps give them a sense of control. So maybe make a card for a healthcare worker in your life. I was glad to work through this a little bit with you. I know it's difficult. This is really tough and serious stuff for adults and for kids as well, but it's really important that we have confidence in the way that we speak to them. Thanks for your time.